Okay, I've went ahead and turned the case on its side just to facilitate putting the board in. And so what we have here is, as you can see, the standoffs have already been installed on most of them. I'm going to go ahead and put the last one in here, and then we'll tighten them all down and make sure that we're all set to go. So again, after I've identified the proper hole locations, now it's time for me to tighten them all down. So we'll go around and make sure all the screws are tight. Actually, standoffs, not screws. Okay, so now we have everything tight. We're now ready to go ahead and install the motherboard. Before we do that though, let's go back to this little plate we talked about that's going to insert back here. So the first thing we're going to do is actually snap this plate in. And these are you kind of have to strong arm these things a little bit sometimes. They do have a pressure fit, but sometimes they slide in real easy and sometimes they don't. This one happens to not be too bad. You got to make sure it's fully seated though, because otherwise you will struggle getting your motherboard in. Okay, so we got that guy in there, and we're now ready to insert the motherboard. So I'm gonna grab the screws here, and I'm gonna grab my screwdriver, and we're gonna take the motherboard that we have put together before on the first part, and as you can see, we just slide that guy in there, making sure that we fit those holes for that in that panel in the back. Now, typically you have to press slightly because they do have a spring load, so you're going to push it in a little bit and make sure your first hole lines up and pop your first screw in. That usually gets everything in place here. Just as a quick reference, make sure nothing sticking out improperly on the back of the panel, which you can't see from the video, but you're looking outside the computer actually making sure that the right connectors are sticking out of the right place. So then our job now is to go ahead and load the rest of the screws. So again, we make sure that everything is lined up. You can look down and see the holes. Make sure that they're lined up with the standoffs. And I usually put a couple in first very loosely so that I can line it up and then torque it down. So let's put one on the top here. And we're going to go ahead and lock that guy down so that it's nice and tight, and then basically load the rest of the screws. So let's do that real quick. So we have one back here. And we have one in front of it. And we have another one in the front here, towards the opening of the back. So we're going to go ahead and lock that one down. And that just leaves us with one on the top. Okay, So let's double check that these are all tight. That one's good. One thing you got to do when you're doing this is to make sure you don't slip with your screwdriver and break some components. That doesn't usually make for the best of installations. Okay, and the last one. And there we go. So we've now completed our motherboard installation. You can see that there's still quite a bit of space on here. We got room here for running the cables, where we're going to actually pop the power supply cables out. And we're ready for the next step, which is to attach the power supply, hard drives, and CD-ROM.